The endothelium is the single layer of cells lining all your blood vessels, and it's one of the most important and underappreciated organs in your body. These endothelial cells regulate vascular tone, blood flow, nutrient delivery, and inflammation. Endothelial dysfunction, where these cells stop working properly, is one of the earliest detectable changes in cardiovascular aging and a predictor of future cardiovascular events. The key mechanism involves nitric oxide production. Healthy endothelial cells produce nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that causes blood vessels to relax and dilate, improving blood flow. With aging, endothelial nitric oxide production declines. This happens through multiple mechanisms: reduced expression of the enzyme that makes nitric oxide, increased oxidative stress that destroys nitric oxide before it can act, and reduced availability of the substrates needed for nitric oxide synthesis. The consequences extend far beyond cardiovascular disease. Every organ in your body depends on adequate blood flow. Reduced endothelial function affects cognitive function, kidney health, sexual function, and even exercise capacity. This is why endothelial health is a legitimate longevity target. Dietary nitrates offer one approach. Nitrates from vegetables like beetroot and leafy greens can be converted to nitric oxide through a pathway that doesn't rely on endothelial nitric oxide synthase. This provides an alternative source of nitric oxide when endothelial production is impaired. Effective doses involve consuming beetroot juice, providing about 400 milligrams of nitrates or several servings of nitrate-rich vegetables daily. L-arginine and L-citrulline are amino acids involved in nitric oxide synthesis. L-arginine is the direct substrate for nitric oxide synthase, but oral supplementation has shown mixed results, possibly because arginine is extensively metabolized before reaching endothelial cells. L-citrulline may be more effective because it's converted to arginine in the kidneys, bypassing first-pass metabolism. Typical doses are 3 to 6 grams of citrulline daily. Cocoa flavanols have demonstrated impressive effects on endothelial function in clinical trials. These compounds improve flow-mediated dilation, a measure of endothelial function, through multiple mechanisms including increased nitric oxide production and reduced oxidative stress. Effective doses require high flavanol cocoa products providing at least 500 milligrams of flavanols daily, not typical chocolate which has much lower flavanol content. Berberine, a compound from several plants, shows promise for endothelial health through its effects on inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic function. Typical doses are 500 milligrams 2 to 3 times daily. Exercise is probably the most powerful intervention for endothelial health. Aerobic exercise creates shear stress on blood vessel walls, triggering endothelial cells to produce more nitric oxide and become more responsive. Regular exercise literally remodels the endothelium. Even moderate-intensity exercise like brisk walking provides benefits, though higher intensity may offer additional advantages. Stress reduction matters because chronic stress increases inflammation and oxidative stress while reducing nitric oxide bioavailability. The stress hormone cortisol can directly impair endothelial function. Avoiding endothelial toxins is crucial. Smoking is absolutely devastating to endothelial health, probably the single worst thing you can do to your vascular system. Trans fats impair endothelial function. Excess sugar and refined carbohydrates contribute to endothelial dysfunction through inflammation, oxidative stress, and advanced glycation end product formation. Here's what concerns me. The supplement industry has created a vast market for nitric oxide boosters, often making exaggerated claims. While targeted supplementation can support endothelial function, it cannot overcome continued exposure to endothelial toxins or compensate for lack of exercise. There's also the issue of measurement. Most people have no idea about their endothelial function. Flow-mediated dilation testing, where ultrasound measures how much arteries dilate in response to increased blood flow, can assess endothelial function but isn't routinely available. Pulse wave velocity, which measures arterial stiffness, is another marker of vascular aging that can be measured. Without measurement, you're implementing interventions without knowing if they're effective for you specifically. A practical protocol prioritizes regular aerobic exercise, at least 150 minutes weekly of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity. Dietary strategies including nitrate-rich vegetables, high-flavanol cocoa products, and abundant fruits and vegetables, considering L-citrulline supplementation for nitric oxide support, stress management practices, and strictly avoiding smoking while minimizing trans fats and excess sugar. If possible, establish baseline measurement of endothelial function through flow-mediated dilation or pulse wave velocity testing. Implement interventions and retest to confirm effectiveness. The goal is preserving and potentially improving endothelial function, maintaining healthy blood flow to all tissues throughout the aging process.